I see officers. Do I leave? Do I leave my house?
Do not leave. Do not leave.
Okay.
Stay there where you are in your apartment. I want to.
That was 13-year-old Derek Rosa calling 911 after reportedly stabbing his mother, Irina Garcia, to death. His mother, Irina Garcia, was killed in the incident. It was very shocking when Derek confessed to police that he had killed her.
You killed her? All right.
Irina Garcia's life was tragically cut short by the person she had spent 13 years loving, raising, and trusting. Just after 10 p.m., a mother lies down to sleep beside her newborn daughter. The baby is 14 days old. Irina Garcia is 39 years old, and for the first time in weeks, the apartment is quiet. She has no way of knowing that the last sound she will ever hear is coming from down the hall. Not a stranger, her own 13-year-old son, standing in the doorway of her bedroom, holding a kitchen knife. By morning, Irina Garcia will be dead, stabbed 46 times while her baby slept undisturbed in a crib a few feet away. And the boy who called 911 to report it, calm, polite, answering every question, will also be the one who did it. This is the murder of Irina Garcia. Hialeah sits just northwest of Miami, a dense working-class city built largely by Cuban immigrant families over the last 60 years. It's a place where generations live close together, where apartment complexes double as extended neighborhoods, and where a family like Irina's, hardworking, private, focused on getting by, barely registers as anything other than ordinary. Irina Garcia was that kind of ordinary, a mother of two. She worked to support her household and kept her life centered on her children. Those who knew her described a woman devoted to her family, someone who had spent years raising her son largely on her own before beginning a new chapter with her partner, Frank Ramos. That new chapter had just produced something Irina had been waiting for. 2 weeks before her death, she gave birth to a daughter, a baby girl, and a fierce, immediate love for the newest member of the family. Her son, Derek Rosa, was 13, an 8th grader. The kind of student teachers don't worry about A's and B's, no disciplinary history, no red flags in any file anyone could later find. Neighbors would go on to describe him as quiet, respectful, unremarkable in the specific way that makes what happened next so difficult to reconcile. Frank Ramos, Derek's stepfather, worked as a truck driver. On the night of October 12th, he was out of state for work. It was just Irina, her newborn daughter, and Derek in the apartment on West 79th Street. Derek told investigators he went to bed around 10 p.m., same as his mother. He had his own room. Irina shared hers with the baby. What happened after that would later be pieced together from a baby monitor left running in Irina's room, from the confession Derek gave police, and from the phone he handed over without much resistance. At some point after his mother fell asleep, Derek got up. He went to the kitchen. He picked out a large kitchen knife. He would later describe it to detectives with unsettling specificity, calling it a big-sized knife. Then he walked into his mother's bedroom, where she was sleeping beside his 2-week-old sister. He told police he cut her neck in a place where, in his words, a lot of blood comes out. Irina Garcia was stabbed 46 times. One of the wounds severed an artery in her neck. She was found on the bedroom floor, not in the bed. Investigators believe she woke during the attack, that she tried to move, possibly toward her daughter's crib just feet away. The baby was untouched. Whatever happened in that room, in whatever seconds or minutes Irina had left, her infant daughter survived it beside her. Then Derek did something that, more than almost anything else in this case, investigators and prosecutors would return to again and again. He took out his phone. He photographed his mother's body. He took a selfie of his own bloodied hand, and he sent them to a friend online, someone he played games with, someone whose real name he didn't even know when a 911 dispatcher later asked for it. Only after that did he call 911 himself. On the call, his voice is calm, almost procedural. When the dispatcher asks if his mother is breathing, he tells her simply that she's dead. He mentions, unprompted, that he has a gun in the apartment, his stepfather's, and that he'd thought about using it on himself but decided against it. He tells the dispatcher he sent the photos to his friend, and then, in a moment that would end up at the center of the entire case, he asks, "Was that bad?" When police arrived, Derek was on the balcony, phone still in hand, following the dispatcher's instructions. Hands up. Compliant. He was taken into custody without incident. Irina Garcia's murder immediately raised a question that true crime rarely offers a clean answer to. Why? There was no history of abuse in the home that investigators uncovered. No pattern of escalating conflict between mother and son. No prior violence, no expulsions, no warning signs in Derek's record at all. By every account available to investigators, this was not the culmination of years of tension boiling over. It looked, from the outside, like nothing. That absence of an obvious motive became one of the most disturbing parts of the case. Prosecutors would eventually point to something else entirely, not a grievance, not a fight, but an obsession. Court filings later revealed that in the period leading up to the murder, Derek had shown a fixation with horror and gore, reportedly centered on the slasher film character Jason Voorhees. Investigators also noted the timing. The murder came roughly 2 weeks after his baby sister's birth, a detail that outside experts would later debate as a possible psychological trigger, without ever landing on certainty. Derek Rosa was charged as an adult with first-degree murder. In Florida, a charge of that severity moves a juvenile defendant out of the systems built to handle children and into the machinery built for adults, a decision that immediately became one of the most contested parts of the case. His defense team spent months trying to have him reclassified as a juvenile. It didn't work. They also fought to keep his recorded police confession out of the case entirely. In that interrogation video, a calm 13-year-old sits across from Hialeah detectives, answering questions, describing the knife with his hands, at one point nodding when asked directly if he killed her. The defense's attempt to suppress it failed as well. For over 2 years, the case moved through pre-trial hearings. Fights over evidence, over autopsy photographs, over what a jury would and wouldn't be allowed to see. A trial was scheduled for January 2026. Derek Rosa, by then 15 years old, was expected to face a jury on a first-degree murder charge that could have kept him in prison for the rest of his life. 4 days before that trial was set to begin, he changed his plea. On January 16, 2026, Derek Rosa pleaded guilty, not to first-degree murder, but to second-degree murder, under a deal struck with prosecutors. In exchange, he was sentenced to 25 years in prison, followed by 20 years of probation upon release. In court, his stepfather, Frank Ramos, spoke through a translator, directly to the boy he had helped raise. He told him that nothing justified what he did, that Irina had been a loving, dedicated mother, that losing her had destroyed the family and changed all of their lives forever. When it was Derek's turn to speak, he offered only 2 words: "I'm sorry." The prosecutor's statement after the plea distilled the entire tragedy into a single, devastating line: that the pain Irina Garcia felt from 46 stab wounds could only have been surpassed by knowing that the person killing her was her own son. And that in taking his mother's life, Derek Rosa had also taken so much of his own future. He is now serving his sentence at a correctional facility in northern Florida, in a wing designated for juvenile offenders housed within an adult system, a strange, in-between category that exists precisely because cases like this one refuse to fit neatly anywhere else. His projected release date sits decades away, in the 2040s. As part of his sentencing, he was also ordered to stay away from his stepfather and from the baby sister who survived that night beside her mother, now growing up without either parent in the home she was born into. There is no tidy resolution to a case like this. No motive clean enough to make sense of it. No history dark enough to have predicted it. Just an ordinary 8th grader, an ordinary apartment, and a 2-week-old baby who will grow up in a world shaped entirely by one night she is far too young to remember, and a mother she will only ever know through what other people choose to tell her. Irina Garcia was 39 years old, a mother of 2. She had just brought a new life into the world, and 2 weeks later, hers was taken by the child she raised. If this story stayed with you, share it. It matters that Irina's name keeps being said, and said correctly. If you'd like to support the channel and help us keep covering cases like this, liking, sharing, and subscribing goes a long way. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.